Good morning and welcome to my 4th annual Healthy and Cozy Fall Bake With Me video. The level of excitement right now is through the roof. This truly is one of my favorite weeks of the entire year. I've been preparing, I've been recipe testing, I've been gathering all of our ingredients, and the day is here, film day, which is truly one of my absolute favorite videos to film. This and the holiday bake with me. So last year, starting last year, I started to break the filming up into 2 days because I was staying up until like midnight trying to cram in all of these recipes into one day. So today is day 1 of filming. I'm hoping to accomplish 3 recipes. It may be 2, but we have a total of 5 recipes that we're going to be putting together in this year's 2024 Healthy and Cozy Fall Bake with Me. I will have the menu for you here on the screen. And if you're new here, I do a complimentary PDF ebook for all of my Bake With Me videos and my What I Eat in a Day videos, because YouTube does limit me to the amount of characters that I can fit in the description box down below. These recipes are beautiful and robust, very easy to put together, but I don't have enough space. So a few years ago, I figured, why not put together a beautiful ebook that you can download for free to have on your phone, so that way when you're out and about at the grocery store, you can have access to it and you can grab all of the ingredients to recreate these recipes at home. I've just made a protein coffee, which if you're a subscriber of my channel, you'll know that I kind of came up with this protein coffee idea a year ago, October, and then in February, I really started to focus heavily on my protein game, and I have been doing the protein coffee every single day religiously since February. So last week, in last week's video, we put together the protein coffee, but we made it fall. So I will have that video linked for you in the description box down below if you would like to get in 35 grams of protein in your coffee and also boost your digestive health by bringing in these really beautiful therapeutic ingredients that are also incredible for our hair, our skin, and our nails. So check out that video after today's video, curl up and enjoy today's healthy and cozy fall bake with me. So we have a busy day. I want to get started with our butternut squash spice cake with a maple glaze. This one is so delicious. I even shared a little sneak peek on Instagram, this photo here, and the response was, oh my gosh, Jessica, what is this recipe? And this is our butternut squash spice cake with a maple glaze. If you are in the Living Well community, and if you're unfamiliar with what Living Well is, it is my membership site that houses thousands of my recipes. It also has 5, 8 to 12-week courses in there on hormone health, postpartum anxiety and stress, energy fatigue, and general wellness, along with a monthly challenge. And you can join Living Well for 40 cents a day. But for all of my girlies who are in the Living Well community, I have great news for you, because when you're watching this video, the recipes just launched at 8 o'clock this morning. So you already have access to all of these recipes. You also can download the ebook, because you know I love putting together these complimentary ebooks. So you can get the ebook. You also have access to all of these recipes on your Living Well app. So let's get started with this butternut squash cake, because this, I'm hoping, is one of the desserts that you bring to your Thanksgiving dinner or any of your fall celebrations that you have with family or your girlfriends. Maybe it's a fall brunch that you're having with your girlfriends. I hope, and my dream honestly is, that I could be a part of that day and that celebration with you, and that we could do so in a really beautiful and healthful way that at the same time does not leave us feeling deprived or like we're missing out on the joy of the season, because we have all of these beautiful recipes. So we have 1 cup of almond flour, 1 cup of brown rice flour, half a cup of coconut sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda. Then we have cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and allspice, and a little bit of salt. So I'm going to pour this into a large bowl, and I'm going to add all of our wet ingredients, where we have 1 cup of butternut squash puree. You could also use sweet potato puree, or you could use pumpkin in this recipe as well, but we're gonna bring in butternut squash. It's a little bit of a different flavor profile, and I like it with maple glaze. So we're going to add that, then we're going to melt a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. We have 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 3 large eggs. So I'm going to bring all of this together, all of our wet ingredients, and then slowly add in all of our dry ingredients, and then heavily grease our bundt pan with some coconut oil and sprinkle on a little bit of almond flour to really make it non-stick. And then we will throw everything into the oven. For this one, we don't want to overmix for most of my recipes. Because we're using these really delicate gluten-free flours, we don't want to overmix. I always get asked why I do it by hand, and that's why, because that way I can see the texture, I can feel the texture, and I know not to overmix the batter. So we're gonna go ahead and fully grease the bundt pan and then pop this into the oven. So I put coconut oil, a little bit of avocado oil, and then I dusted it with a little bit of almond flour in hopes that would also prevent some sticking. I might do a little bit more of the almond flour just to help. There. Next up, girls, we have our maple pecan granola bars. These are as easy as it gets. So in here, I have 2 cups of gluten-free oats, a cup of chopped pecans. I have a 1/4 cup of pumpkin seeds. I have 2 tablespoons of flax seeds, just regular flax seeds, not ground. 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds. And then over here, we have a 1/3 cup of dried unsweetened cranberries, a 1/3 cup of almond butter. The only ingredients are almonds and sea salt, a 1/3 cup of almond butter, and then I have 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and I'm going to grab out a 1/3 cup of maple syrup, and we're going to take this in a saucepan with our maple syrup and our almond butter and heat and combine everything together. And then while that's combining, we're gonna pour all of our dry ingredients into a bowl and put together the most divine and delicious maple pecan granola bars. I've bumped the oven down from 350 to 325 to pop in our granola bars. I'm always getting asked for lunchbox snacks, after school snacks, things that I feed my children. I have to say our kids eat what we eat. However, all of these healthy baked goods that I'm sharing with you all of the time are definitely a great hack to have on the go snacks that are nutrient dense and also delicious. So we're gonna pop these into the oven. And then I have to flip over the bundt cake pan. I must have PTSD or something because I made Ronan a birthday cake a few years ago in a bundt cake pan and I just could not get it to come out. I was like tapping it, hitting it. So I'm like extra nervous because when I made this one during the trial recipes, I make for like over a month. I just make dozens and dozens of fall recipes, and then whichever ones my family says like those were the best of the best, that's what we bring into this video. But when I did this one, I did it in this size pan. I didn't do it in a bundt cake pan, so this was kind of like a game time decision. So stay tuned. I think it's gonna be fine. I know it's gonna be fine. I feel the good vibes. But I'm gonna let it finish cooling. It's still not fully cooled, so I'm gonna let it finish cooling and then we'll flip it over and we'll make the delicious glaze that goes on top. And in the meantime, we're gonna pop these into the oven. I was too nervous to film it. I swear I must have some like PTSD from that birthday. It popped right out. It was beautiful. I definitely fully let it cool. I think it was sitting in the pan for 30 minutes. So now, once I get our bars pulled out of the oven, we will go ahead and do the beautiful glaze. Next up, we have a savory option for today because we are making my rosemary pumpkin parmesan biscuits. These are so delicious with any of your autumn soups or stews that you may be making. Even if you're making a chili, I shared a pumpkin chili in last week's video. So even if you're making a chili, this is a delicious side to go with that. So we have 1 cup of almond flour, 1 cup of brown rice flour. We have some black pepper, baking powder, and sea salt in here. Then we have 1 full cup of pumpkin puree and Parmesan cheese and finely chopped rosemary. I also have some coconut oil in the fridge cooling because we're going to cube that and use our fingers to really get that biscuit-like texture. So that's currently cooling. And then I'm also going to be using probably like 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk. You can use almond milk, coconut milk, or grass-fed cow's milk, whichever one you prefer. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven now to 375 while we start assembling all of the ingredients. go ahead and make our maple glaze for our cake. So I have a 1/4 cup of maple syrup in a bowl. Then we're going to take a 1/4 cup of coconut cream, not coconut milk, coconut cream. We're gonna whisk that together, and then once it's fully combined, we're going to add a little pinch of sea salt and drizzle that over top of the cake. The cake has fully cooled, so this is the perfect time. Sometimes if it's too hot, it completely melts off. It's like when you add icing on top of your pastries. If it's too hot, you don't want it to be like ice cold, but you don't want it to also be too hot, otherwise it just completely melts off the top. So let's go ahead and put the glaze together. The kids will be home soon, and so I am going to clean the kitchen and call it a day, and we will start fresh tomorrow with our remaining 2 recipes. But I ended up putting the glaze in the fridge for a little bit, and then I put it on, and as you can see, it stuck absolutely beautifully. So I'm gonna slice this open with the kids when they get home. They're going to be so excited. I am just finishing letting these fully cool. As I was cutting them, they were still warm, and once that coconut oil sets and thickens, that's when they're gonna hold their shape perfectly. So I've sliced it. I'm gonna let them cool a little bit longer. I might even pop them in the fridge before I fully finish cutting the bars. But I have to say, my favorite recipe thus far out of the entire video, and likewise was my favorite when I was doing all of the trials for the recipes I was going to include, are these biscuits. You guys, the texture is so delicious, and I love the sweet, like a little hint of sweetness that comes through with the coconut oil and the pumpkin, but the rosemary and the Parmesan, honestly, with that black pepper is just chef's kiss. Like, this would be incredible, as I was saying before, with a pumpkin chili. I have a butternut squash chili inside Living Well if you want to grab that recipe. We have so many soups and stews. There's the easy breezy tomato soup inside Living Well. These would be so perfect to have with that soup as a side. I mean, YUM. And the texture on them is just so perfect, fluffy. And so you saw I definitely had to work in the coconut oil, work it in with my fingers, but honestly, I could look back at the footage. It didn't take me that long, like maybe 5 or 6 minutes to really get the texture right, which is definitely worth it because they are so delicious. So I'm gonna clean the kitchen, get everything reset before the kids get home from school, and I will see you girls tomorrow. Good morning, girls, and welcome to day 2. So it's actually a couple days later. The last couple days have been crazy with school activities, and everybody is home today. So this should be interesting trying to film this with everybody here at the house, but I'm really excited for the 2 recipes that we have on the menu today. First, I think we're gonna get started with our sweet potato chocolate chip blondies. These ones are absolutely delicious and so easy to put together. And then we have a cinnamon swirl pumpkin cake that is also so incredible for an upcoming brunch that you may have. Then you will love this one as well. So we're gonna get started with the blondies because they come together really easy. And then after I make that, I can give it to the kids, and hopefully that'll help with my longevity in filming day 2 of our healthy, cozy fall bake with me. So this one is truly as easy as it looks. We have 1 cup of brown rice flour. You can use any gluten-free flour that you have. 1/2 cup of coconut sugar and 1/2 cup of dark unsweetened chocolate chips. I have 1 full cup of pureed sweet potato, 1/2 cup of almond butter. You can use peanut butter, pumpkin seed butter, sun butter, any of the butters that you like. And then in here we have baking powder, nutmeg, cinnamon, and a little bit of red mint salt. So I'm going to get started by putting our wet ingredients into this large bowl and really mixing everything together really well, but at the same time, not over mixing, because that is the key with these blondies to keep the texture. I just preheated our oven to 350, and then these ones will go in. And as you can see, these are so fast and so easy to pull together. And this should be your blondie texture. You girls know how blondies look when we make blondie bars. One thing I will say, my almond butter was unsweetened. You can give your batter a taste at this point. We did add that 1/2 cup of coconut sugar. If you're using a different type of gluten-free flour other than brown rice flour, perhaps it's a bit more absorbent, like an almond flour. Almond flour is very absorbent. If you're using that, you could add in like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of maple syrup to make sure that everything comes together really beautifully. If it feels too dry, feel free to add in a little dash of maple syrup, or if you taste the batter and you're like, oh yeah, you know, I think to get my kids to eat it, it might need to be a tad bit sweeter, just add in a little dash of maple syrup. But this is the texture. It's so beautiful and rich. So we're gonna throw this in our baking dish and pop it into the oven. Our cinnamon pumpkin swirl bread, and behind me our blondies are fully cooling before I begin to slice those. And here we have 1 cup of almond flour, 1.5 cups of brown rice flour. Then we have 1 full cup of pumpkin puree, 1/4 cup of coconut oil, which I'm going to melt. Then we have 1/2 cup of coconut sugar, 2 full tablespoons of ground flaxseed, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. And then I do have 2 eggs that I'm going to whisk together. And for our swirl, I'm going to melt 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and then I'm gonna put 1/4 cup of coconut sugar and cinnamon into this. And that's what we're gonna use as our actual cinnamon swirl. This is the texture of our cinnamon swirl. It's melted coconut oil, coconut sugar, and cinnamon. Now I'm going to go ahead and start layering this on, sprinkling this in between. Our blondies should be cooled by now. So we're gonna go ahead and slice these up. They smell delicious. OMG. Girls, this is the most divine texture I've ever seen. YUM. And it smells so incredible. Like a fudgy almond butter pumpkin blondie delight. You are going to absolutely love that one. And our cinnamon swirl cake is in the oven. My swirl started to set a little bit because I was moving the camera, so the coconut oil started to set. If you're working with the coconut oil, obviously I'm filming, so it took me a little bit longer, but you kind of want to move quickly. That way the coconut oil doesn't completely cool down, because you do want to be able to move around that cinnamon swirl, but it's gonna be delicious anyways. I want to thank you girls so much for watching today's video, and I hope that you got a ton of delicious and cozy inspiration. Don't forget that in the description box down below, as well as the first pinned comment, I will have the link for you to download the complimentary PDF where you can get a little fall inspired ebook with all of the recipes that we created today. And if you liked today's video, you could let me know by giving it a big thumbs up. And now the subscribe button is right over here on the screen. Give that a click, that way you don't miss a single video. And I hope to see you back here next Thursday.